Hey, what's up guys, Sir Emanon here, and welcome to another feature match commentary on the channel today. So this is going to be round one of my current TCG tournament that I'm hosting on my very own Discord server. If you guys would like to partake in the future iterations of this tournament, definitely go ahead and check out the link to the Discord server in the description box below as usual. But this is going to be round one as I mentioned, and it's going to be featuring Blunt01 on Tri-Brigade Lyrilusc, aka Bird Up, versus Edgelord Guilford on Invoked Windwitch. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. So looks like Invoked Windwitch is going to take the RPS win, and they're going to opt to start. Also, let me know in the comments below if you would like to see multiple matches per round in the earlier stages of this tournament, because there's quite a lot of participants. We actually had almost 80 people, so there's quite a lot of good matches. So just leave a comment if you would like to see more than just one per round. I would be happy to do that for you guys. But the opening hand for Invoked Windwitch is going to be Ice Spell, Glass Spell, DD Crow, Speedroid, Takatomborg, and Magical Meltdown. So found both halves of the engine. This is like a real throwback to 2017 when the deck was like a road contender for sure. But yeah, we see some text like Takatomborg, which is a cool extender, and we also see hand traps in the list too. So this hand's definitely pretty good. And then the opening hand for Bird Up is going to be Hcabe, Where Thou, DD Crow, Call by the Grave, and Mist Valley Thunderbird. So they're on probably the Union Carrier stuff, which people were testing around with a bit earlier, but for the most part has been dropped from a lot of players' lists, but this player opting to still run it. So it should be pretty interesting. The DD Crow could be good against the Invoked package, but they're not really going to be making Hcabe given the fact that they're on Wind Witches, so it should be pretty interesting. Alistair might never touch the graveyard, but they're going to start by special summoning the Ice Spell since they control the monsters, and then use the effect to special summon itself as well as the Glass Spell. And then both will trigger, so Chilling 1 Glass Spell, Chilling 2 Ice Spell to burn for 500. Chain blocking from Ash, of course, so that's going to grab a copy of Snowball to hand. And then Snowball going to special summon itself. And going to synchro summon a copy of Wind Pegasus at Guister, which is a cool generic Wind 7 synchro, and has a good graveyard effect as well. And then going to synchro those off into a copy of Crystal Wing that is, of course, indestructible by an opponent's card effects thanks to Snowbell. And then going to activate Magical Meltdown next. That's going to grab a copy of Alistair the Invoker. And then get a normal Alistair and use the effect to grab Invocation. And then going to straight up activate Invocation. Yeah, the Alistair never got linked away there. Since Ice Spell locks you into special summoning level 5 or higher wind monsters from the extra deck. So obviously Link monsters don't have levels, so you can't really do that under Ice Spell's restriction. But going to go for Invocation for a copy of Raijin. And then going to activate Invocation. Thinking actually in response, because you might want to DD Crow this, but that's probably just going to be negated by Crystal Wing. I mean, you could like maybe bluff Nibiru, but opts to actually let it go instead. So Invocation returns, and Alistair gets added back to hand. And then just going to pass. For turn, the top deck is going to be Tri-Brigade Lyrilusc, which is quite good. At least it's a name, because before this hand was kind of lacking in terms of play starters. It's not the most ideal one, but it's better than nothing. So going to start by activating DD Crow, targeting the Wind Pegasus. So that's going to resolve. And then going to normal summon Hcabe to bring back the DD Crow. And then going to chain DD Crow of their own, which is going to hit the DD Crow. And DD Crow targeting DD Crow, which is kind of funny. Call by the Grave going to be chain in response. And so the Hcabe does resolve, bringing back the DD Crow. And then Where If That was going to come down next. That's going to grab a search for a copy of Tri-Brigade Nerval, which is good to pair with this Keras here. Helps get the Tri-Brigade engine on a line. And going to go into a copy of Tri-Brigade Farigit, the Baron Blossom. So opts not to go for any rank 1 plays. I don't think most lists are playing the Kikinyashi Fucho, the one that's unaffected, but that would have been pretty nice here to just make Zeus and, pretty much force the issue. But going for the Baron Blossom and using the effect, that's going to be negated via Crystal Wing. And then the graveyard effect is going to draw Tenki and then put back the Thunderbird. And then going to activate Keras next, it's going to pitch the Nerval, summoning itself. Still has the Book of Moon, so it looks like it's going to be Nerval as Chilling 1, and then Raijin going to be Chilling 2. So Nerval going to add Kit to hand. And then from here, just going to pass. So opts not to go for Tenki. I guess Tenki could have grabbed Fractal, but that would have just been another dump. We already committed our normal summon. So yeah, it was pretty unlikely to extend from that position. Return the top deck is going to be Freeze Bell. This is one of the new ones. I can't remember if it's from Blazing Vortex or if it was from a different set, but it's definitely came out very recently. This one says if all the monsters you control are Wind Witches, you can special it from your hand. And then once returned to your main phase, you can increase cards level by 1. And then it gives a protection effect to Wind Synchros from battle destruction. So Snowball is card effect destruction, and then this one's battle. This one is also a level 3, non-tuner. Gonna normal summon the Alistair. That's going to grab Invocation. And then gonna special summon the Takatomborg. And then gonna use the effect to actually treat itself to summon a copy of Card Turbo from deck, which is a level 3 Wind Machine Tuner, which also specials itself if you control a Wind monster. And then it locks you out of activating monster effects for the rest of the turn except winds. Then it also has a minor effect of making Wind monsters gain attack. But it's just another extender, also fetchable off of the Takatomborg as you just saw. Gonna then Synchro Summon into a copy of the Clearwing Synchro Dragon. That's a card we haven't seen in quite a while. But going to switch the Raijin to attack and then go for Invocation. That's going to banish the Nerval, which happens to be a wind. That's kind of funny. As well as the Alistair to go for another copy of Raijin. And then Invocation going to recycle the Alistair, and that's going to be the end of game 1. And it looks like they forgot to make it a match, but not a big deal. Siding is obviously still a possibility here. So we're just going to move now into game number 2. And it looks like we're going to have the Bird Up deck go first. If you guys are enjoying this commentary, definitely be sure to like the video and subscribe if you're new here and want to see more commentary similar to this style. But the opening hand for Bird Up is going to be Cobalt Sparrow, Foolish Burial, Ash Lancea, and Turquoise Warbler. So definitely a good hand. These two are super solid to start off with. Gets you pretty much all the way to your full combo with a Foolish Burial to kind of send like a Nerval or a kit. Probably not Nerval, but maybe possibly like a kit or something. Pretty good. And then 2 hand traps as well. And then the opening hand for Invoked Windwitch is going to be Terraforming, DD Crow, Skullmeister, Ran Ryu, and Ash Blossom. So this is another level 4 wind extender if you control a spellcaster, which both Alistair and the Windwitches happen to be. So that is also pretty cool. A lot of interesting wind techs. But yeah, lots of hand traps, 3 hand traps. Going to start off by special summoning the Turquoise Warbler since there are no monsters on their board. And then going to use that effect to special out these Cobalt Sparrow from hand. Cobalt's going to add a copy of DD Crow, actually. Pretty interesting. Normally you see this grab either Sapphire Swallow or the Nerval, and then you overlay for Recital Starling to get the other one. So I'm curious as to what the game plan is here. Foolish Burial is going to send the Nerval instead. Alright, so we can trigger Nerval here, but that's going to be Meistered. And then from this position, going to go for a copy of Linkuriboh, and then normal summon DD Crow. Linking all those off for a copy of the Simorgh Link. And then gonna end phase, get the Simorgh Link Ash. Actually, what's funny is that the Wind Barrier statue doesn't do anything against this deck, given the fact that it's Wind Witches and a bunch of Wind Extenders, right? So that's a pretty interesting sort of matchup dynamic. But I would imagine this would probably just get Apex Avion in this matchup instead. However, the Ash is gonna say no to that. Triple Tactics Talent is gonna be the top deck, which could be good depending on when these hand traps get dropped. Gonna activate Terraforming to start off with. That is going to actually be Ash. I generally think that, saving the Ash for the normal summon of Alistair is better because that plays around Gamma, or just like hard drawn Alistairs and Meltdowns. But regardless, Talent is enabled, so that is going to allow them to draw 2 cards. And what do you know? One of them is Alistair. So Alistair is going to be normal summoned anyways, and that's going to grab Invocation. However, there is still Lancea here, so it's going to be quite good. Because once they go to activate Invocation, after link summoning a copy of Artemis, then that is going to shut that play down. So pretty good for sure. Also, Artemis is a spellcaster, so that enables Ran Ryu as well. However, it's not going to do much here. And so that's going to be a pass, and then the end phase, Simorgh is going to trigger again. That's going to summon a copy of Cobalt Sparrow from deck, and then that'll trigger for a search of Nerval. So in a pretty good spot for sure. Has a relatively loaded graveyard to get the Tri-Brigade stuff on a line for more link shenanigans. Gonna pick up a copy of a Turquoise Warbler for turn, and then gonna normal summon the Nerval. Nerval effect is going to activate, and that's actually just gonna be a concession for game number 2. So it looks like we're gonna move into game 3 here. And it looks like we're gonna see Invoked Windwitch go first again. And before we get started into Game 3, just want to quickly shout out my patrons as usual. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. The long form and consistent content is made possible thanks to you guys. And if you do want to support the Patreon, the link will be in the description box below as usual. But we're going to move on to Game 3, where the opening hand for Invoked Windwitch is going to be Ran Ryu, Ash, Magical Meltdown, Takatomborg, and Call by the Grave. So drew the Wind Extenders without the Wind Witches. I do wonder if you play Prosperity in this deck. I don't have the list in front of me as I cast, but that's definitely something that is worth considering if it's not in the main deck here. But finding Alistair again is always nice. And then the opening hand for Tri-Brigade Lyrilusc is going to be Where Art Thou, Tri-Brigade Kit, Foolish Burial, Lancia, and DD Crow. So drawing the impactful hand traps again against this matchup, at least the invoked half of it. Gonna go for a Meltdown to start off with. That is going to grab a copy of Alistair the Invoker. And then gonna normal summon the Alistair. That's going to grab a search for Invocation. And then going to go for a Link Summon of the Artemis. And then gonna activate Invocation. That's gonna be met by Lancia. And then going to chain Call by the Grave in response. And then in response to the Call by the Grave, they're going to chain DD Crow to hit the Alistair out of graveyard. So that chain resolves, and which that means that Invocation will not get to fuse anything since there is no target. And actually, I'm just reading DD Crow real fast. If you could banish cards in your own graveyard instead of just your opponent's, you could do a cool play by like Crow banishing your own Lancia to just make it so Call by the Grave doesn't actually negate the Lancia there. But that's not an option. If that was, that would have been a very, very cool play. But regardless, Invocation is going to recycle Alistair for next turn. And they are still sitting on Ash and a couple of Wind Extenders. Opts to pass from there. For turn, the top deck is going to be King Gabio, so there's DD Crow actually set up for that, which is quite nice, and the Foolish Burial to help out. Foolish is going to be used. That's going to send a copy of Cobalt Sparrow. And then from here, you're going to normal summon the King Gabio and then use the effect to special out the Cobalt Sparrow. And then the effect is going to activate. That is going to search a copy of Turquoise Warbler. And then from here, Where Art Thou is going to be met by Ash. Going to link those off for a copy of the Barren Blossom. And then use the effect that's going to special summon a copy of the Warbler from hand. And then Warbler will get to summon the Cobalt Sparrow back from the graveyard. And then going to overlay for Recital Starling. That's going to activate to give the Barren Blossom some attack. And then going to activate the other effect to detach to add DD Crow. You should be detaching the Turquoise Warbler here because the Cobalt Sparrow does bestow targeting protection as long as it is... or as long as... Actually, does it have to be Exceeds Material? Wait, I'm just reading this again. Actually, yeah, it doesn't matter because it was still Exceeds summoned using this card. Never mind, disregard what I just said. But the search is, I believe, the DD Crow there. And gonna go to the battle phase here and then attack into the Artemis. And then Recital Starling will attack for a cool 0, I think. Yeah, and then main phase 2, gonna go for a Zeus. And then going to pass. For turn, the top deck is going to be another copy of Ash. I do wonder how Zeus is going to be out of this turn, if it is going to be. Go normal summon the Alistair, and then use the effect to grab Invocation. And then going to be thinking a bit. Invocation going to be used. That's going to summon a copy of, looks like Hcabe. And then going to activate Invocation in Graveyard. Going to chain DD Crow to that, which is quite strong because that denies any Alistair boosting the Hcabe and damage step to get over the Zeus. So Zeus doesn't have to use anything here. Then going to go into battle phase and attack the Barren Blossom. Yeah, the attack boost from the Recital Starling, I believe, is permanent. Yes, it is. So this is permanently on 22 since it gained 600. And then going to use the effect, I believe that drew a Turquoise Warbler and put it straight back to the bottom. Yep, just making sure. And then going to pass for turn. Ooh, the top deck is going to be Monster Reborn. That is quite good. So that actually allows each Cobalt Sparrow to be used again. Grab another search perhaps, which is definitely not a bad thing. Could also bring back a Link monster as well. Going to normal summon the Kit first. And then use the effect. That's going to be negated by Hcabe. Does banish for cost. So that's going to be banished as well. And then going to activate Monster Reborn, targeting the Cobalt Sparrow. That's going to use the effect to grab a search, but that's going to be negated by Ash. And then going to switch Zeus to attack, and then link summon a copy of Link Rebo. And then go into battle phase, attack for 500 and then 300. And then gonna pass. For turn, the top deck is going to be the Snowball. Oh, also something I didn't mention last turn was that when the When the Farid got destroyed in battle by Hcabe, Zeus could have actually activated here with its other effect that people forget about. I almost forgot about it too. But yeah, this could also equip something that is impactful, like maybe a Nerval, for example. But gonna go ahead and top deck a copy of Snowball, which is not really gonna do anything here. Yeah, unless that there's a 5 synchro that you can go into that I'm not thinking of. We'll see. But gonna pass. Draws Nerval for turn, so that's quite good. Gonna be thinking here, how many do we have in grave? There's only one winged beast, or one tri-beast. So gonna go to battle phase and attack for 33. And then going to set Nerval and pass. For turn, the top deck is gonna be Triple Tactics Talent. They're gonna normal summon the Snowbell and then specials out the Ran Ryu. And then going to synchro those into a copy of High Speed Roy Chambara. This is definitely a throwback for sure. We have not seen this in quite some time. Gonna go to battle phase and attack the Linkuriboh. Linkuriboh will of course be used. And then it's gonna be a pass. For turn, the top deck is gonna be Ash. Gonna flip summon Nerval and then use Linkuriboh to tribute it away. And that's gonna be the end of the match. Yeah, because Nerval will get a search, and then that would just be more extension from that position. And the Zeus would have been there. Honestly, Zeus to clear the board would have been good enough. But pretty interesting matchup for sure. Again, it's an early round, so I want to feature off some more interesting decks. Players might make some misplays, but it's all good for sure. It's all a learning experience, and please do keep that in mind when you are commenting. But yeah, that's a pretty good matchup for sure. Very interesting again that the Barrier Statue doesn't really do anything against this deck, but we did get to see the Lyrilusc deck, Tri-Brigade Lyrilusc deck that is, do other things besides just put up the Barrier Statue. It didn't even hit the board. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like as well as any thoughts or feedback in the comments. Subscribe for more foreign and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you want to, you can follow me on all social media platforms or support me via Patreon TCG player. All the links are as usual. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next video. See you guys.